chariots and the Ahzab that were sieging Medina left. And if the Ahzab were to ever return again, their whole wish and desire, I wish I'm not with the Prophet, I wish I'm not in Medina if these people were to ever come back. يَسْأَلُونَ عَنْ أَنْبَائِكُمْ. They just want to hear about your news. Be far, far away, because that's who they are. That's the emotional state that is the product of dalal and kufr and nifaq. That's how iman should look like, and that's what nifaq and dalal often causes. Brothers and sisters, another example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes those who made a covenant with Him and then broke that covenant. He says, فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ لَعَنَّاهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً وَأَعْظِمْ بِهَا عُقُوبَةً أن يحجب الإنسان عن قلبه وعن أن يحجب عن روحه. What a great punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, because of their breach of covenant, they received Allah's la'nah and damnation. Not only that, He says, وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً. They were cut off from their soul, from their ruh, from their heart. Brothers and sisters, our deen is teaching us something very important. And that is that iman, when it really settles in the heart, empowers the person beyond imagination, gives you a healthy connection with your ruh and with your emotions. And there's something very interesting here in what kufr means linguistically. Kufr, it means it means to reject the blessing, to cover the blessing, to overlook it. And meaning that it means to cover something. It's as though when a person disbelieves in his maker, in his creator, it's as though he's covering or creating a barrier between himself and his ruh, between his material existence and his metaphysical and spiritual existence. It's as though it means to disassociate with your spiritual state, with your emotional state. Brothers and sisters, we find this in many examples in our deen, but the point highlighted here in the khutbah, without iman, our souls will be dysfunctional, and our emotions are more likely to be in disarray. إذا خوى الروح من الإيمان تعطل عن دوره الرباني واضطربت المشاعر. And this is something we learned from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who had the most beautiful soul. In the past month, we were discussing aspects about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam throughout Rabi' al-Awwal, loving the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one of the things I touched upon in some of my talks in Rabi' al-Awwal was how important it is, if we want to effect change in our lives, for our children, to re-educate ourselves, reorient ourselves about how we look at our deen. If this is the quwwah of the strength of the influence of one's emotional state upon their existence, then that tells us how heavy an impact our emotions impact our connection to our deen. Emotions make us who we are. If our attachment to our deen is not an emotional one, then it'll remain superficial. If our attachment to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the teachings of our deen is not an emotional one, it's an intellectual one, or it's a cultural one, it's something that I've inherited from others, it hasn't settled in as emotions. It's not something that when I hear the verses of Allah, it makes me happier. Allah describes this as the condition of Ahlul Iman. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. It makes them rejoice and increases them in faith when they hear the Quran. What does that tell us? It tells us that Iman is most effective when it's stemming from our emotional state. And if it's not coming from our emotional state, that means our ruh, our soul, the center of our emotions is disconnected from our deen. This is something that was addressed throughout the month. And one of the teachers of our community. Dear Sheikh Yasir, he actually mentioned this in his khutbah in Clifton. And he said that the levels of love and the impact of love upon bridging to faith. They describe in Arabic that there's many levels for love. And the least of these is hawa. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hawa and whims. And he says, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. That there are people who worship their hawa, their whims. And the Prophet ﷺ said that you won't truly believe until this hawa, this least level of love, is in accordance with what I brought. He said in the hadith that لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يكون هواه تبعا لما جئت به. Until your hawa and your love, your emotional feelings and attachment is in accordance with the message I've brought. Brothers and sisters, something really important to consider in today's khutbah is that Iman is all about emotional aptitude. And the stronger our emotional aptitude towards Allah, towards His Prophet, towards the teachings of Islam grow, the more that we'll find our attachment to our deen grow. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us solid understanding and healthy emotional states. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us a strong orientation about our Islam and our deen. Allahumma ameen. Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد أشرف الخلق وسيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. Brothers and sisters, if Iman is all about a healthy emotional state, and the stronger one's emotional state becomes towards Iman, the stronger his Iman, his attachment to the deen becomes, it is important to note that the Prophet ﷺ was all about ruh and spirit in everything he did. Prophet ﷺ was never a person of meaningless rituals. The condition we have fallen into on the grand scale as an ummah has become so detrimental because that emotional attachment to our deen has greatly weakened. We've become attached to meaningless rituals. لكن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لم يعلمنا ذلك. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لم يكن صاحب طقوس لا معنى لها ولا أثر لها على الواقع. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in all of his interactions, in all of his dealings, in everything he said and did, it was all about ruh. You could feel the presence of his beautiful ruh and soul in every gathering. That's who Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was. And when we consider our Iman, if we want to really test what our Iman is all about, then I need to ask myself that question. What impact does Iman, my Iman, have upon my reality? What impact does it have? If it has no impact at all, if my Iman is so weak that it cannot even change me as a person, cannot cause me to change for the better, there's a big problem with my Iman. If my Iman or my understanding of Iman cannot even change those closest to me, those dearest to me, then there's a big problem with my connection to Iman. Brothers and sisters, for this reason, the Prophet ﷺ, because he had this healthy emotional state and this strong spiritual state, because of this reason, Nabi ﷺ استطاع أن يؤثر في النفوس وأن يخترق حجبات القلوب. He could reach through those barriers upon people's hearts and impact their souls directly, because he was speaking from his soul, because he was living, before living a material existence, he was living a spiritual existence, and his spiritual presence was guiding his material presence. Brothers and sisters, This is what his sunnah is about. This beauty of ruh is what his sunnah and his seerah and everything that he lived for was about. And if we want to change our state, then this is what we need to consider. Take a few examples, brothers and sisters. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was all about empathy and loyalty. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ مَنْ كَانَ خَوَّانًا أَثِيمًا. Allah doesn't love those who are treacherous, aggressors. How can it be that one can claim being part of the message of Muhammad, يدعي الانتساب لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم، يدعي الانتساب لتلك الروح الطيبة الفاضلة الجميلة, the soul of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, and then be treacherous in his dealings? No. That cannot be associated with true iman. لا يمكن ذلك. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان وفيا حتى مع أعدائه. He was loyal even to his enemies. And the example of this, or there's tons of examples, but one example from his sunnah is when Sayyidina Thumama ibn Athal became a Muslim. And his Islam led to the grains being cut off from the people of Mecca. This hurt them very badly because he was from Bani Hanifa. And they were the ones who provided the grains and the crops to the people of Mecca. And he was their chief. And when he became a Muslim, he cut that off from the people of Mecca because of their aggression against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They sent a message to the Prophet and said, إِنَّ عَهْدَنَا بِكْ وَأَنْتَ تَأْمُرُ بِصِلَةِ الرَّحِمِ وَتَحُضُّ عَلَيْهَا وَإِنَّ ثُمَامَ قَدْ قَطَعَ عَنَّا مِيرَتَنَا وَأَضَرَّ بِنَا فَإِنْ رَأَيْتَ أَنْ تَكْتُبَ إِلَيْهِ أَنْ يُخَلِّيَ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَ مِيرَتِنَا فَافْعَلْ. Prophet ﷺ was a loyal person. إذا تمكن من أعدائه لم يقصد الإضرار لم يقصد انتهاك الحرمات. He did not want to hurt his enemies and breach their honor, even though he was capable of doing that. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ مَنْ كَانَ خَوَّانًا أَثِيمًا. This is the way I need to start reorienting myself, educating myself, how my iman should look like, how my iman should guide me in the face of adversity, and guide me in dealing with the challenge of life. This is practical iman. This is impactful iman. Another example from Rasulullah SAW, Prophet SAW had a great sense of empathy. And one time he came in the masjid and he saw one of the companions sitting in the masjid. His name was Abu Umama. And he said to him, Ya Aba Umama, ma li araka jalisan fi al-masjidi fi ghayri waqt as-salah. Why are you sitting in the masjid? It's not time for prayer. What's on your mind? So then Abu Umama said, هموم لزمتني وديون يا رسول الله. I'm stressed. A lot of debt. A lot of concerns. The Prophet ﷺ, with his great sense of empathy, with his beautiful ruh, with his strong emotional state and his strong sense of iman, he said to him, أفلا أعلمك كلاما إذا أنت قلته أذهب الله عز وجل همك وقضى دينك. How iman comes to your refuge in helping you heal from emotional wounds. These are emotional wounds. Everyone here has countless emotional wounds, one upon the other. How is my iman going to help me heal from that? Should I teach you a few words that if you were to say them, Allah will help you heal from that grief and concern and help you pay back your debts? Money pays back debts. Does a dua pay back debts? Some people might have this question. No. الدعاء والتيسير الإلهي يفتح لك الأبواب. Allah making it easy opens for you doors. ثم المطلوب مني ومنك أن نلج تلك الأبواب. To go through those doors and actually act upon that. But no. Dua does have an impact. Even upon our dealings, relationships, financially or otherwise. Absolutely. But تيسير الإلهي. So he teaches him the dua that many probably know. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الهم والحزن وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل وأعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل إلى آخر الدعاء. Brothers and sisters, the takeaway from the khutbah is, if I don't reorient myself in understanding what Iman really means, that's what's going to lead to a lot of mental health issues. That's what's going to create a barrier between me and my ruh, my physical and metaphysical. That is what's going to create tons of anxiety, tons of individual problems, tons of family problems. That's what's going to make me as a person in an emotionally dysfunctional state. And the ilaj for most of our problems, the remedy for most of our problems, starts here with an Iman al-Haq, with true Iman that impacts our reality. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us to follow an example of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to bless us to find healing from every problem in our Iman. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to better our emotional states through our Iman. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us through the trials and struggles of our lives with Iman. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وعافنا واعف عنا وتجاوز عن سيئاتنا. اللهم اغفر لصغيرنا وكبيرنا وحينا وميتنا وذكرنا وانثانا وشاهدنا وغائبنا. اللهم من احييته منا فاحيه على الايمان، ومن أمته منا فأمته على الإسلام. اللهم اجعل خير عمرنا آخرة، واجعل خير عملنا خواتمة، واجعل خير أيامنا يوم لقائك. اللهم متعنا بالنظر إلى وجهك الكريم، وأسقنا من يد نبيك الشريفة شربة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا. آمين آمين. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر. الله